Hello everybody, Benito here, aka Plant-Based Grilla, here to show you how to make Ghormeh Sabzi for my first YouTube cooking video. So let's get into it. Here I have 4 bunches of curly leaf parsley, a bunch of cilantro, 1 bunch of flat leaf parsley, and half of a bunch of mint. I also have 1 dilapidated looking onion, 4 decent sized cloves of garlic, a lime, the star of the show that I'm just going to skip over, 4 Persian dried limes, and some walnuts there, fenugreek, turmeric, 2 cans of kidney beans, a blender for the stems of the herbs, as well as a few other things, and that's a Dutch oven. Here I am honing my knife to make it nice and straight as I cut through this really ugly looking red onion. I'm just gonna give it a rough chop because it's going in the blender. Um, I'm gonna blend up all of the stems from the herbs separately, just kind of to get a nice smooth texture on them without having to chop them up too much. You're just smashing and peeling the garlic. And you're gonna have some leaves that go into the blender. You're gonna have some stems that stay on. It's not a big deal. You could throw them all in the blender if you had like a nice big Vitamix. But here I noticed that the bulbs of these green onions were really huge, and I just decided to chop off the end parts and throw those in the blender as well while I was at it. And also a tablespoon of turmeric goes in, and then that's what it all looks like blended. And then here's the leaves of the herbs. There's some curly leaf parsley I have. Just kind of rough chop, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch pieces. Doesn't really matter. You're going to cook these fresh, vibrant looking greens into something that looks like dull and brown and not as tasty as it actually is. It's a great way to make use of any herbs you have that have been in your fridge a little too long. Just gonna go through this really quickly. And here, carefully measure out a random amount of walnuts using your hand. I used about 1/3 of a cup to 1/2 of a cup or so. Probably could use more. Probably would use about 2/3 to 3/4 of a cup. As you'll see later, doesn't really look like as much. Lime. You're supposed to roll the lime like that to make it juicier. I have no idea if that works. I've never tested it. I do like to use one of these little juicer things because I feel like you waste less juice that way. I got about two to 3 tablespoons out of that lime, and I also always chop the white parts of my green onions separately from the green parts. Take a little longer to cook. More like treat those more like an aromatic, and the top ends I like to use those kind of like more as a garnish to just freshen the dish up when you put it in at the end. I cut them on an angle just to be cool like that. Gives them a little more surface area. Here are the things that really give the dish its flavor. These are dried Persian limes. You can get them online. They're, I don't know, like $10 for like an 8-ounce package that's like has like 30 or 40 of them in there. You probably could have used about 5 or 6 for this even. Here's just me getting everything set up, my mise en place. Just having everything set up like that just kind of makes it easier to do the cooking part without any stress or things getting hectic. Here I have it on high heat, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water so my herbs don't get scorched as I add them. I'm going to let these cook down a little bit before I add my blended mixture, just because you see it's already kind of overflowing in my pot. If you have a bigger pot, you can just do it all at once. I added some salt there. I added salt throughout the way. Probably ended up adding 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. Greens can tend to take on a lot of salt. Here I'm stirring it up. I don't know if that's necessary, but let's be honest, you're going to do it anyway. And then just add the limes and the green onions early because you want the limes to actually cook to, they're like hard right now, but they're going to get like nice and soft. Although you still don't want to eat them because they're going to be super bitter, but they're going to release some really great flavor. And this is the appropriate amount of pepper to use for this dish. And then just the liquid from the beans, kidney beans. And you want to make sure one kidney bean falls out there. If you don't, your sabzi will not be good. And then throw a lid on it. Cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes until it looks like this. Medium heat, medium high, doesn't really matter. There's no meat in there that is gonna dry out or anything. And then just add the beans, add the walnuts, and as you'll see, kind of looks like a paltry amount. Probably add double next time. This part, it is probably necessary to stir it in because you want to make sure you get all the walnuts covered so they get nice and tender. Cover it, cook it for another, I'd say 15 minutes until it kind of looks like that. Then you want to add your fenugreek. You want to rub it in between your fingers or in between your palms to get it, that fragrance all the way out. Fenugreek is what makes Indian food kind of smell like Indian food. It's kind of like the distinct flavor. It's also called methi. And here I'm just kind of squishing the limes just to make sure I get all of the lime flavor into the stew. I guess we're calling it a stew, Persian herb stew. I don't know if this is necessary. I mean, I already punctured them, right? Should already have all their flavors permeated. I'm just checking this walnut here for texture, just to make sure it's just got the right amount of tenderness, maybe a little less tender than a bean. And here I'm tasting you always want to taste your food for seasoning, and if it doesn't taste right, you should probably add more salt. It's usually what it is. And here's the green onions that I'd had chopped up earlier, as well as the lime juice. And once you stir that in, you're pretty much good to go. You can turn the heat off now and just stir it as much as you want until you get bored of stirring, which should be pretty quickly because stirring is not a long-term activity. And here I am attempting to film and serve at the same time with mixed results. Serving over some brown, short, medium grain rice. Basmati would work better, especially if you had saffron basmati or toasted, or if you had toasted whole wheat pita bread, that would be fantastic. But that's it. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. Comment down below, subscribe, do all of the things that YouTube creators want you to do to their videos. Share, I guess. Yeah, do all those things. Thank you.